Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the Regista Football Podcast. My name is Jack. Once again, I'm joined here by my friend Ben. How are you doing, man?
Jack, I'm doing great today.
It's just a welcome change, isn't it?
It is a very welcome change. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been able to say that.
It has. We'll get into the reasons why Ben feels a bit better today a bit later in the episode. In terms of everything we have to cover today, we're actually going to go over the SDFC first game of the season, just touch on that briefly. I went there last night and had a great time. We're then going to go to Liverpool Forest, and then we're going to finish with the North London derby with Spurs versus Arsenal. How does that sound, Ben?
That sounds great. Before we get into it, Jack, where are we today?
Oh, we're in so for anyone that doesn't know, kind of like the Julian area, it's essentially like an hour from San Diego. It's like a really lovely, what would you call it? Like big
It's like a
agricultural
foothill/mountain town.
Yeah, it's really nice. We're up here in a cabin. Ben and a few of our mates traveled up here for the weekend to spend some time together and decided to come up for the day and watch some football.
Yeah, it's an annual trip that we do. We enjoy coming out here and spending some time in nature. And a part of this trip is always football, at least has been in the last couple of years. And typically we watch some really good football games up here. A couple of years ago, we saw the Aston Villa game in which Martinez hit us a little own goal off the back of his head.
I remember that one, yeah.
We were also up here for a great rout against West Ham last year, and we'll get a little bit more into it, but a great weekend of football for us up here today.
For sure, yeah. Let's get into it then. So let's touch on SDFC first. You watched the game. What do you think of it?
Jack, I was a little nervous. I wasn't sure what to expect from SDFC this season. A great inaugural season, made the playoffs. As we talked about them before, like it's really nice to have a football club in your hometown.
It's great, yeah.
Montreal isn't a club that I rate too highly.
No.
They're a side that we beat twice last year,
yeah.
I want to say. And so going into the game, just kind of seeing who we had. There's been a lot of drama about certain players, but I was excited to kick this off. And I will say in the first half, it was kind of dubious overall.
Yeah, I agree with that. I went to the game last night. First thing I would say is I had a lot of conversations similar to what you just brought up around people don't know what to expect. I think I'm the most confident person I've met when it comes to San Diego. Like I don't see them regressing at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll explain why I think that is. Ultimately, it comes down to in terms of depth and squad depth, it is what it is. And it was this way last season, but somehow Mikey Varis implemented a way for all of these players to work. Like, let's be frank, who the fuck is Bombino?
Yeah.
But he has been brilliant for the team. So I think the way the academy is approached and the way Mikey Varis has the team set up, mm-hmm. I just don't see a drop-off. Maybe I'm overconfident, but if last night was anything to go by, we shouldn't be concerned at all, Ben.
Yeah. I think going into it, last year in SDFC, halfway through the season, people did not know how SDFC played, and like SDFC was doing really, really good.
Yeah,
people figured it out. Teams were able to hold up against SDFC, and they became harder to break down. And that's kind of what happened during the first half. Overall, I think I know that SDFC went through a lot, but like there's that low block, and we talk about this all the time. I was watching the game here with a couple of my buddies, and we were making fun of how SDFC looked just like Arsenal. Like I joke about how I watch the same football team all year, and it's a hot, heavy possession build up kind of team that's like waiting for the right move.
Yeah.
And the first goal came off a set piece for SDFC.
It did, and kind of as soon as they go 1-0 up, I have pretty full confidence for the rest of the game. Montreal has to start coming out then. Then you get to see San Diego, where I think they're strongest in hitting teams on the counter.
Yeah.
And when San Diego have like space inside,
mm-hmm.
they're way better, Ben.
Yeah. I think like they opened up the game. They were able to have some space inside. They weren't forced out to the edges. They were able to really use that Dreyer Pellegrino partnership and get that second goal. Like Dreyer getting the ball through, running through. Taking the shot because I think he really was looking for a goal yesterday.
He couldn't
get it.
Skinhead Dreyer, man. Skinhead Dreyer. Yeah. It's funny, he shaved his hair, and I was talking to our buddy Shade, and he was like, "Watch this skinhead dryer stuff, man. He's going to go off again this season."
Yeah.
He didn't score, but we won 5-0 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's probably the most emphatic win I've seen San Diego get. I can't remember us scoring 5 goals many times last season.
Yeah, I don't remember many 5-0s. I think the red card in the second half, early in the second half, helped us as well.
Absolutely.
As soon as that happened, like the game was done.
I would say too, the experience of that red card in the ground was naff as shit, mate.
Yeah.
Like we had no idea what was happening. Nothing came up on the screens about VAR. It was just a pause in the game, and everyone around me was like, "What's actually going on?"
Interesting.
But the red card was given, and I think for a possession heavy based team like San Diego, if the opposition goes a goal down and a fucking red card, long day.
Yeah, and I think that's really what it was for Morale. It was funny. It was in the 60th minute. I think we were 4-1 up, and one of the people here was like, "We're only in the 60th minute. Like, oh my gosh, this game's so long." And because we were so possession heavy in that second half.
Super possession heavy. But like that is the style of how we play, you know. And ultimately, I think I want them to continue to build on the way they've been approaching games, especially last year. Like, it's important to remember this is a new football club, and the success we had last year, there's no guarantee of sustained success from that. And I think overall, San Diego have a setup that, in my opinion, encourages it. You know, it's relatively organic. They don't need to spend a bunch of money. They brought in this kid, and I want to touch on this kid a little bit.
Yeah.
Very, very young, 18 years old. Ivorian, I think, from Ivory Coast, comes in within 10 minutes. I think he's 18, scores his first goal, and that's probably the most I've seen a goal celebrated for San Diego.
He hopped the hoarding and like got into like the stands. It was a fun thing to watch.
It was brilliant. It was almost like, hey, I'm this guy and I've arrived. It was good. But no, overall the game day experience is what you would expect. We did bunch of the tailgate stuff beforehand, and that was as rowdy as it always was. Loads and loads of people at the tailgate. It's funny because I didn't think the supporter section was insanely full yesterday, but they were doing a different thing where they were like segregating it quite a lot more. So like the actual fan groups were segregated into their actual groups, which I actually felt helped the atmosphere a little bit. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that transpires. Any kind of final thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think like the Zambale coming in and scoring was really great. I know that they SDFC has made a big have made a big focus on their academy and the academy system, and having someone come out, being able to be far enough to put them on at that point in the game.
It's brilliant.
And then and like having them score a goal was just a fantastic thing to watch. I think it was just a fun game. It's a game of two halves, which actually kind of opened up at the end of the first half.
I agree with that.
It's as I watched it, I was like, man, SDFC is putting their foot on Montreal's throat.
Finally,
I was like, this is the kind of like football, like when you're ahead, this is what we want to watch.
Me too. Like clinical too.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I mean, how many times did we experience games last season where we were like, come on, just put them away for God's sake.
Yeah.
But in this game, good amount of chances, obviously, because we win 5-0. But I feel overall everyone's finishing was confident. Team's approach overall was exactly what you want to see. And I'm excited for the season ahead, man.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm sad that I couldn't be there last night, but you know, I had this annual trip, and
next week.
And next week, we'll get into these games.
Absolutely. So let's move on to Forest Liverpool. Weird game, and we'll get into it in a minute. Lineup changes. I guess the biggest thing is Florian Wirtz was injured during the warm-up. That changes the dynamic of the game a lot, at least for me. Szoboszlai starts at right back, where Slot announced during his press conference that Joe Gomez was fit to play. So I actually expected Gomez here. But I think he wanted some sort of depth on the bench to come on, and Gomez did eventually come on. Funnily enough, when we needed a goal, and you bring a guy that's never scored a professional goal on when we need a goal. Questionable decision, to say the least. But overall, any kind of surprises within that lineup, Ben?
Yeah, I think you already mentioned it. Wirtz was injured, and so we had Chris Jones come in.
Yeah.
And then he played in that kind of central area for the first, say, 30 minutes of the game or so.
About that,
Trying to unlock something from Forest. I think we talked about going wide overall. It just didn't feel like
Liverpool weren't using width.
Yeah, Liverpool weren't playing a game that was utilizing width. Yeah, I think that was the main thing with the lineup. Like everyone on Forest kind of lined up as we imagined they would.
Yeah.
Overall.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ultimately, I think the really the tale of the first half is just Liverpool kicking themselves in the foot over and over again, man.
Mhm.
Like, I'd say the first 10 was an issue for me. I'd
Mhm.
say we defended the box really well. And I think that was a consistent theme throughout whole of the game. But for a team that played in midweek in Turkey, who
Yeah.
should potentially be knackered, they ran all over us in that first few
Who
minutes.
won 3-0 in Turkey
Yeah,
midweek.
yeah. You have to credit them for that as well. That's
Yeah.
a big victory. But I never felt like, although they had a couple of decent chances, I never felt like Forest were really threatening Liverpool.
Yeah, I felt like they got through and they just didn't have the finishing that was required.
Bit blunt, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I felt that kind of all day. Igor Jesus, I think, is like, he is tricky in space, but I just don't think he's the most clinical finisher. Like, he's not particularly great in front of goal.
Uh-huh.
There were some situations where he just needed to run across centre backs and he'd have probably been through.
Yeah.
But I think he lacks a bit of physicality. He's quick, but
Yeah.
he's not like robust, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like I think another part of his game too was he was kind of tucking in behind and trying to play more of a 9.
Yeah.
Than out 11. And I don't know if that's necessarily what
He's
is
great
his game
at.
style.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what Forrest is good at, period.
That's a good point.
Right? Like, I think like they already have enough people in that midfield. Like, every single time the ball's in the midfield, like Sangare is on top of it or Anderson's on top of it, and like Igor Jesus coming in almost crowds that space and have to reset. And then, we'll get in the second half, but like there's a lot of periods in the game in which it seemed like if the Forest players were a little further away from each other, they could actually spread that game a little bit more.
I agree.
Stretch it a little bit more.
I think that also comes from how they end up picking up possession a lot of the times. Like, the big thing for me ultimately is Liverpool's build-up was really, really poor. And Forest had a bunch of like half opportunities with high turnovers. And the main one, really within the first 25 minutes, they end up generating 0.73 XG, which you don't want to see really in the first 25 minutes of a game. Hudson-Odoi has a really good chance. Alisson makes a good save on it, but like Liverpool fill that warning shot. I think they're okay really for most of the rest of that half, but we still cannot maintain any control really at all throughout the entirety of that first half.
Yeah, I felt like every single time Liverpool got the ball, they either gave it away in their own half,
sloppy,
or they couldn't find the pass through. I don't know how many touches were in Forest's box in the first half, but it felt like there were very few.
I agree with that ultimately, and I feel like, how many times this season have I spoken about Liverpool's deficiencies when it comes to build-up? And today, I think it was glaringly obvious. It's funny because you could see kind of the value that Wirtz brings when he drops in between the lines. That wasn't there today. I'd say Jones is a very different type of footballer, since ultimately so is Dominic Szoboszlai, and I think you saw what Wirtz brings like vertically within this Liverpool team, especially like glaringly obvious when he's not there,
Yeah, I think it was incredible to see how much the team actually kind of regressed without Wirtz in the position, especially when early in the season when Wirtz was kind of the person who they couldn't really play around. But now he's so central in the game.
I know it sounds silly, but to me, it looks like no one really wanted to keep hold of the ball for Liverpool. I would give Forest some credit in the sense that I think they counter press really well.
Yeah.
And that puts Liverpool in a bunch of tricky situations in build up.
Yeah.
But ultimately, let's be frank here.
Mm-hmm.
They're 16th in the league. Liverpool should be able to build up against 16th in the league. I understand you're missing Florian Wirtz, but I think I want to see Liverpool do way better in possession. And I'll be honest, I think arguably that could be one of the worst first halves of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you some stats as to why that is. Firstly, our forwards were shockingly bad. Ekitike had the fewest touches of any player in that first half. Salah had 69% pass accuracy, and most of that wasn't him putting balls in behind. It was just shit passes, breaking up our types of attacks when we actually managed to go vertical. Same as Gakpo, it's really, really similar. It's one of the worst overall performances I've seen from a forward line. If you look at just pure chance creation metrics, so 0.6 XG against 16th in the league is shit, man, shit. And then you've got fucking 0 shots on target, 2 overall shots, and in that same half, they generate 0.89 XG with 12 total shots and miss a big chance with that Hudson-Odoi chance. It's not close. They probably deserve to be 1-0 up going into halftime.
Yeah, I think that half didn't really like the score didn't show what the what the half really was.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that there were a lot of moments that Forest probably should have had a goal, and they just didn't have the right man up top to create it.
It's funny actually because Arne Slot came out after the game commenting on the switch between Szoboszlai and Jones, and he emphasized essentially saying Liverpool were not winning any duels in that period. He said we were playing the ball up high, and Jones wasn't combative enough to win duels, and we'd end up turning the ball over, and they'd end up coming back on the attack again. His theory was pushing Szoboszlai high up, who I think is a better off the ball player than Curtis Jones, would help us maintain some or like develop some control in the game. I'm not actually sure that worked anyway, Ben.
Yeah, I don't remember Sabaz being any more influential than Jones was when he did come up.
Agree.
There was a period when I was like, yeah, I feel like neither of these players are doing super well.
Yeah.
They could combine to become one player and they still wouldn't have stood out. It looked like Force were playing with more people and it felt like it overall.
Yeah, and definitely, I think like ultimately for me, when you're letting Morgan Gibbs White find space in pockets the way he did throughout that first half, you're gonna be in some trouble.
Yeah.
And ultimately, Liverpool, I'd say, like I said, they were lucky to go 0-0 in a half, but Forest deserves some credit for that first half performance. I thought they were really good. They didn't look like a 16th place team, if you know what I mean. Like they looked much better than that. But I think a lot of that is us allowing them to look much better than that.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about her coming in and putting in the kind of like work that required defensively to maintain place that they could not get relegated and stay in the league. And I think he kind of showed that overall in the first half.
I agree. I'm one other criticism I'll kind of give on the first half before we move on to the second half is I think Liverpool at times are just too passive, man. I understand we're away from home and under the cosh a little bit, but like just falling straight to a mid block and not pressing high how we typically press is something I really dislike seeing that. Mainly because one of our biggest shot creation approaches really is counter pressing.
Yeah.
And when we don't do that, you have to build up through the thirds properly. And when you don't do that either, you're really going to struggle to create chances, you know?
Yeah. When you have someone who can actually dominate that possession and then make the right passes through the final third, like you're not going to have the ability to get in behind and you're just going to be stuck in the mid block.
You're completely right. And kind of one last thing, ultimately, I think Liverpool have improved drastically on defending set pieces. I will say that, like, the amount of dangerous set pieces Forest had where they're putting it directly under the bar. And if you think about like how we would typically have dealt with that a few weeks ago now, really much improved. Most of them were off of long throws. I actually don't think they had any corners in the first half. Actually, no, they did. They had 3 corners, and I can't remember those corners actually troubling us for the most part.
I think a lot of that was just Anderson's delivery in the first half. I think every single time we went up, he had that first corner was for short and was off. The second one actually landed on top of the net and wasn't even in play. Just really bad. Bad corners. I think the third one was decent. That was probably the closest corner that they had.
Yeah.
But then, I know. I remember in our keys to victory that we were talking about before the game was taking advantage of set pieces, even though I have very low set piece XG. They weren't able to do that, and so Liverpool was able to stay out of it. Overall in the first half.
Yeah, I think they give us a lifeline because of how poor the delivery is, but I think ultimately they are defending set pieces much better.
Yeah.
Let's go into the second half then. So overall, I'd say Liverpool's play in the second half massively improved. We start creating some chances and overall like establishing more territorial dominance.
Yeah.
There is a chance from Jones early on in the first half. Really good play by Gakpo to find Salah at the back post, who kind of cuts it across for Jones. Really, really good save by Ortega, I thought.
Yeah, I felt like Ortega, we didn't imagine him being as good as he was.
No.
Like Sal's last year had a fantastic season, hasn't had as good of a season this year, but going out on injury and having Ortega come in and kind of deputize him, did decent in this game.
He
kept
did.
out a couple of very, very decisive goals if they'd gone in the first half and then also in the second half.
Yeah, and I would say, like, talking about that goalkeeper change, I think you could see the difference between Ortega and Sells with the ball at their feet.
Yep.
I think when Liverpool do start to establish like a high press, Ortega is much better at playing with the ball and helping Forest get out of that press. But overall, where I would say there was like an increase in quality, it wasn't huge, Ben. I'd say we definitely deserve something from the game given how we performed in that second half. One of the other really big chances we get is actually really late in the game. Not a lot happens really in that second half until really late in the game. It's very back and forth. I'd say it was way more end to end that second half, and you could really see that by, you know, how effectively Forest again were picking up in their own box, playing through Liverpool, but again not really what's the term, executing in the final third how they would want.
Yeah. I feel like every single time either team got to the end, like both teams were just crowding the box.
Yeah, just poor last pass.
Yeah,
poor execution with a shot.
Yeah.
Overall, like Liverpool get to 80th minute, and I'm thinking, you know, what can we do here? Liverpool do make some subs. Chiesa comes on for Gakpo. Rio Engamoa comes on for Salah. And then eventually Robertson ends up coming on for Kirkez and Gomez comes on for Jones. Like I said, Gomez coming on for Jones is a bit bizarre when we're chasing a goal.
Yeah.
I understand the Robertson for Kirkez sub is basically just like for like. But ultimately, Liverpool end up getting like a really scrappy goal. Rio does brilliantly to beat his man on the outside to get to the byline. Ekitike should score that goal, Ben. For reference, Ekitike's chance is 0.53 XG and 0.84 expected goals on target. Should just put our way. There is something, like, I think he is not good at all with his head. We've seen it in the last few games where he gets chances with his head. He either puts it wide or he doesn't put quite enough on it. In this case, I do think it's quite a good save, but it is, you need to do better there as a striker, man. Like, it's in the last 10, 15 minutes of the game. We need something from this. And that ended up McAllister picking up the ball and scoring. Actually, it was given for a handball. It was kind of a bizarre situation, wasn't it? Because the ball is bouncing around the box. The goalkeeper tries to kick it out. Or was it the centre-back that tries to kick it out?
I think it was Aina. He was the left back.
So Aina tries to clear it as it's bouncing around the box. And McAllister is basically just doing a prospective block, ultimately. Like, he jumps up to try and get in the way. And it hits him and ends up going in the net. But VAR overruled it for handball. It essentially hits his elbow. I think it's a fair decision ultimately. It's kind of unlucky that it just happens to hit his elbow when it could hit anywhere else on his body.
But anywhere else on his body, it still would have been a goal. Like his back, his legs, that still would have been a goal.
But like, it hits his elbow. I can't really complain too much about it. So, you know, that gets disallowed. At that point, I'm just thinking, don't concede a goal here, Liverpool. At least get a draw from this game. But what's better than one winner, Ben?
Another winner.
Two. Liverpool again, McAllister. This was kind of like a close offside call, actually. Virgil at the back post kind of gets ahead on it, heads back across. McAllister, 6.8 XG. Similar X-Scott. Good finish. Liverpool smash and grab. I don't think we deserve to win that game, really, by any metric for the most part. We generate good XG in the second half, 1.7 XG, which is pretty good. But like, ultimately, across the game, I don't think we quite do enough, but that's not how football works, Ben.
I feel like, you know, it's smash and grab, and sometimes you need to smash and grab to win the game.
Absolutely.
Like, that's really what is required. Smash and grabs are what wins you games and leagues. And Liverpool won last year, not with smash and grabs, but at least they can show that they're still a top four side, a Champions League side, and that's what they're chasing right now. So that gets them in a better place for it.
Yeah, that puts us level on points with Chelsea and Man United. Man United play Everton tomorrow, so hopefully the Blue Noses do us a favour. Smash and grab. I think overall, where I'm happy coming out of this game is these types of games earlier in the season, Liverpool weren't winning. In fact, if you guys watch the preview, Forest battered us at Anfield. I think Liverpool needed to come with a bit of attitude in this game and get a result. They did. It wasn't the prettiest, but I'll definitely take it.
I mean, I think they won the game. You know, did they deserve it? Not necessarily, but they did it. Who was your man of the match?
So it's funny because he probably won't get given man of the match, but I think you could see the difference in dynamic when Rio Engamoa comes on for Liverpool. He's just so dynamic. He's so good with the ball at his feet. He's super direct, scares players. And you could see on the kind of like on the goal that gets disallowed, it comes from him beating his man, getting to the byline. And I think for the whole of that game, and obviously, like if you've listened to a lot of these episodes, I've been screaming out for a 1v1 winger the whole of the season for Liverpool.
Yeah.
And I think you could see when the players that have the propensity to be able to do it, guys like Engamoa, guys like Frimpong, you can see how much of a different dynamic that adds to Liverpool's attack.
Yeah, I would compare Rio's performance to that of Diogo in years past. Someone who comes in, has the pace, has the touch, able to just change the dynamic, control the game in a way that hasn't happened before, and turn the game on its head. Yeah.
Who would your man of the match have been?
I think I'll probably go with Maka. Of course, he had the goal. He was in the right places. You and I were talking about it during the match, and how he's playing more of a defensive mid instead of an attacking mid, which he's.
It's odd, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I think he just does better in that kind of role.
Me too.
And so it's kind of surprising that he hasn't played that role. But I think in this game, he is the one who changed tides twice.
He did.
And so yeah, I think he deserves the man of the match. I think he's also the highest rated because of the goal. In the game. He's the one who won the game overall. So
I think Anderson was really good in the first half of Forest. His performance tails off a little bit in the second half, in my opinion.
Yeah, he comes off early because I think his performance does drop off. I think if Forrest was able to keep a clean sheet this game, it probably would have been because of Anderson and him being able to control that midfield. But yeah, I think they did suffer a little bit once he came off.
I agree. They kind of lacked the control at that point.
Yeah.
But, I'm not complaining as a Liverpool fan. Liverpool end up winning this game 1-0. Yeah. Again, probably don't deserve it, but we have to take those and move on.
Yeah, 3 points. 3 points, Reds, and that's good performance. You burned down the Forest.
Forest fire.
Forest fire.
That's fucking funny. Let's go into Tottenham versus Arsenal then. So talk to me through the lineups, Ben, and anything that you thought could have been a potential surprise.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think before we get when we previewing this match, I think almost our entire lineup was what we previewed for Arsenal, except for Gyökeres. We thought that Gabriel Jesus was going to get the start, but Gyökeres actually got the start. And let's be honest here, that was probably a good decision.
Yeah,
in the end.
Overall, yeah. I mean, we'll obviously get into who we thought were men of the match.
I think everyone else we imagined would start on the Arsenal line started.
Yeah.
I think the real surprise for us was probably on the Tottenham side.
Yeah.
I think Solanke wasn't get the start here, but Kolo Muani actually got the start. And once again, I guess these people who do this as a living know more than we do about who to start in these matches.
It's true. Like from what we understood anyway, like before we did some research for this game, I thought overall that both Richarlison and Muani were going to end up being injured for Tottenham.
Yeah.
But they both are declared fit enough to play. Solanke ends up on the bench and so does Richarlison. But Muani plays and ultimately it was the right decision in the end. It's funny actually because when we covered the shape for Igor Tudor, they were pretty much doing exactly what we expected them to, Ben.
Yeah, I think Tudor lined up exactly how we expected him, the 3-4-3.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I felt like this was actually probably a good way for him to start at a home match against his team's rivals.
Yeah.
And I think like the team that he brought out made sense overall. I mean, like apart from that, any other surprises for you in the lineup?
Not really. Pelini at centre back obviously isn't great for them.
Yeah,
but they have so many injury issues that there's not much you could particularly do.
Yeah.
Because of that man-to-man system, and they essentially man-marking all over the pitch. But we'll obviously touch on this a bit more, but God, the man-marking from Dragusin on Gyökeres, it felt like a child marking a man, ultimately. Let's get into the first half, Ben. So, I think the way Spurs do approach the game with that high press, and ultimately super aggressive man-oriented press, really helped Arsenal in this game.
Yeah, I think like it was surprising how much man pressing there was. Like Spurs came out fast,
flying.
Like there were, I think that's kind of what you have to do at home. You kind of have to get. If they didn't do that and they sat back, I think the entire stadium would have like lulled.
I agree.
And you could hear the energy from the stadium coming out.
I agree.
But yeah, I think they were able to come out, but they gave up spaces in the mid spaces.
Yeah,
like there was definitely two specific lines of the press, and then there was a line in between, which I wish there was a few more Arsenal players kind of drifting in to pick up the ball for any of those long balls. But I think Arsenal anticipated that and also saw it and started stretching that line very early on.
I agree. I think it's very important to mention, like, this is what Arsenal's squad is set up to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, aggressive, man-oriented pressing. They have, like, a bunch of dual winners everywhere.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, as we were watching that first half, one of my biggest takeaways is they can't keep defending this way. They're giving up way too much space for Arsenal. And for me, everything defensively seemed super last-ditch.
Yeah.
Like, they were just getting a foot in, or they were just ushering a player off the ball. And for me, I felt goals were inevitable for Arsenal in this game.
Yeah. I also really liked what Arsenal did. And like we talk about the horseshoe of hell or the donut of despair when they get out to the back.
Yeah.
But whenever they did get back and people get on Arsenal for pulling or for doing passes back, but Arsenal do that because they want to pull the defense back towards them and create a artificial transition, which they did. It's kind of like they laid the trap perfectly, and they were able to then, like, once they set it, they were able to like pull the trigger on the trap.
So, something actually talking about kind of the horseshoe of death. Something I liked what Arsenal were doing in that first half against Spurs is when they had the ball and had territorial dominance, they were using kind of half space runs really well.
Yeah.
And what that would essentially do is, if you imagine like a triangle rotation there on specifically the right side, I think this was done really well with. They were making players second guess themselves. Like, who do we go for? Who do we mark? Who do we go with? And that's what actually creates the space for the first goal, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, not even just on who do we go for, but if there was a missed pass or they lose the ball, then you have three players to go crowd one player to win the ball back.
Exactly,
really well.
yeah.
You saw that happen a couple times with, there was a moment when I believe like it was Trossard, Rice, and Nkapia all just kind of like crowded out. What was it? Spence on the right, like just crowded him out, got the ball back like immediately, over and over again. I think like that worked really well. This was a game in which the kind of play that Arsenal is set up for does really well. And then with overloads on the right and just the kind of scale that you have on the right, like Saka had a really good game. Saka has been kind of quiet in the last few weeks.
He was good.
He had that one-on-one with Spence. It looked like he got the ball out, but somehow Saka got it between his legs.
Wasn't that Saw? I think it was
Sarr?
Saw. Yeah, he did Saw. Saw, again, it was the rotations, because I don't think Saw was man-marking Saka the whole of the game.
Okay.
But it was because of how Timber was moving, overlapping, and underlapping that Spence ends up going with Timber, passes off his assignment. Saka is basically open in that space.
Yeah.
And Sarr is the one that has to recover, and he makes him, basically. Really, really good play by Saka to get to the byline there.
Yeah.
But the finish is better than the play by Saka, in my opinion.
Yeah, he put the ball in, and like I don't know if that ball if Eza like intended to put that ball up in the air or if it just got in there.
Yeah.
Like if he was trying to stop it dead and hit it on the ground, or if he meant to put it up in the air, but that was just such a beautiful shot, beautiful finish overall. 0.2 XG, 0.27 xGOT. Like I think like
it's actually way lower than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
it was kind of central.
Yeah, he was very central on the edge of the six, but like I think like the way that he just popped it up in the air and then got a foot on the ball, it was kind of the moment. Like I predicted a hat trick for as a jokingly, but as soon as that first ball went in, I was like, this is it. Yeah, this is how we do it.
Let's actually go into something negative about the game. The stoppage at about 10 minutes is a farce, Ben.
It's ridiculous. Like, I mean, like the game's going. I think that was right after a pretty good run from Arsenal.
A bit of momentum.
A lot of momentum. And then you stop the game because you have technical difficulties with your linesman. We've been playing this game for centuries without needing headsets.
It's so true.
Like, that's what the basis of this game is. Keep playing, have someone else figure it out on the sideline. And then once you have everything set up and ready to go, then switch it out.
I couldn't agree more. Fellas, figure it out. Like, if you cannot do your job without these extra bits of technology, what were you doing 20 years ago?
Yeah.
The way I thought that should have been handled is like, okay, the communication isn't working. We'll use the fourth official communication, but we'll manage it indirectly until we can find a break in play and then just switch over the headset to make it work.
Exactly.
But it really did kill some of Arsenal's momentum, and they had to bring it back again. But they do eventually score after that, and that was the goal we discussed.
Yeah, exactly. A 5-minute break is just, it's not great in the beginning of the game, right? And it happened again right before the second half.
Yeah, it did.
Like, you have an entire 15 minutes to figure this out, test things out, see what's working.
It's so true.
And why couldn't you just figure that out in that time? Well, like, I understand you need a rest. Like, I understand officials are running around. They are tired. They also need a rest. But, like, there needs to be a support team in order to make sure that there are redundancies in place in order to make sure that this doesn't happen.
For someone in operations, you must be a big head scratcher for
Oh
you.
my, like, I was losing it the entire time. I was like, why is this happening?
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think it causes any pain in terms of overall result or expected situations, but I think Arsenal were good for the first goal they had. Unfortunately, unfortunately for you, they do go 1-1 pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, it was the moment of when I think I typed in the note, we need to maintain control, and then immediately after, there's a goal. Like, it comes out of nowhere. It's one of these moments that happens in Arsenal when there's an individual mistake, and like, Rice made a mistake. He immediately, like, accounted for it and moved on. But we can't be making those kind of mistakes. Like, if this drew 1-1 because of that moment, and I knew that it wasn't going to happen because of how Spurs set up, but, like, if it had been any other team, that could have been it. Any other team would have just sitting deep in a low block, and we may not have been able to get through.
It's really true. It's a weird error by Rice because there's ultimately loads of things he could do with the ball in that scenario.
Yeah.
That was the worst decision he could have made.
Yeah.
And I would argue, though, that I think Moani's goal is a good finish.
Yeah, it was a good finish, yeah.
Like, he still had some stuff to do regardless of Rice's mistake, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He had to run through. I think Saliba kind of chases him, kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
Gabriel doesn't move fast enough to him. I think Gabriel was just kind of confused with what's happening.
Yeah.
He kind of comes in, and Moani does plays the ball really well. 0.24 XG, 0.26 XGOT. It's the second shot of the half, and it's a goal for Spurs.
Yeah, I like the finish because it's low enough, but close enough to Raya, to where Raya, I think the way only Raya could save that is if he saved it with his feet.
Yeah, but he tries to go to the ground.
Yeah, he tries to go to the ground, but if you hit it that hard and that low, you're not getting down fast enough to save that.
Yeah. And at that moment, it was 10 minutes left in the half, and you kind of were like, great, like, what do we do for the next 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And it was kind of, like, infuriating. I mean, if we just look at the first half, Arsenal already had 73% possession.
Yeah, it's dominating.
They had a 1.0 XG in the first half to Spurs 0.29. But what I thought was incredible is Arsenal had 12 shots in this first half.
Battered them, yeah.
3 on target, 3 big chances.
Ultimately, like, I think that comes down to the trend of the game, though, bro. Like, I think a lot of it is Arsenal just have space. Yeah. And we've seen in games where Arsenal have space, they can punish you. And I think something that I really like before we move on to the first half, before we moved on to the second half, is some of the spaces Eze was picking up. Very different to how Odegaard moves. Like, Odegaard's natural reaction or instinct is to come towards the ball player or the ball carrier. Eze's is to kind of float and try and get within that zone 14 and move either side of that zone 14 depending on where the ball is. I think his positioning was good and his anticipation was really good all game.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the pass map. I'm actually pulling up right now because I want to see what this compares to our previous game. I remember when we talked about our game against Brentford when Eze was a little deeper. But if we look at the pass map, Eze is actually a little higher up this time. We do have Saka in, so he's actually playing a little higher up on the pitch.
Yeah.
But Eze's kind of tucked in and right behind Gyökeres, like playing very close to him as a player to play off of him. So he was getting those kinds of spaces. If we saw this player map with Odegaard, he'd probably be far out.
Closer to Saka
and a little deeper.
Yeah.
So like the kind of player that the Gyökeres is, he has that support from Eze and also from Trossard.
I agree, and I think, how many times have we touched on that? I think Gyökeres is ultimately better when he has someone to play off of.
Yeah.
And this was the situation in this game ultimately. He was much better than I have seen.
Yeah, in the first half, I think another crazy stat was Arsenal had 237 accurate passes, 84%. Spurs had 70 passes in that first half.
And it's important to mention why that is. I think ultimately Spurs, again, we've touched on this multiple times during these podcast recordings, are inept or incapable of playing centrally. They cannot do it.
Yeah.
And when you have guys like fucking, with all due respect to him, Jed Spence, you're not progressing the ball on the wings either.
Yeah.
So their aim throughout the whole of that game essentially is to play long and have Kolo Muani like try and sumo wrestle with Gabriel to win one-on-ones. That's essentially what was happening. And the way Arsenal defend at the back is there's always a sweeper. So there's typically always 2-on-1, especially in those types of situations. There was no one close enough to Muani for the whole of that first half to be able to kind of help him in those situations. And you can see why their pass accuracy is so poor, is because that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah. One other incredible stat, touches in opposition boxes. Arsenal had 29 touches in the Spurs box. Jack, how many touches did Spurs have in Arsenal's?
Can I guess?
Yeah, please do.
2.
1. It was the goal.
The goal. That's mad.
That was it. That's incredible.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
And ultimately, I don't think the game changes from there.
No, it really doesn't. I mean, we go into the second half, and going straight into the second half, it kind of is all up to Spurs to kind of bring this game back in. I think they do play a little bit more aggressively in the first few minutes of the second half, but pretty early on, Arsenal really like put their stamp on the match.
Yeah.
We have that Gyökeres goal.
What a finish.
In the 47th minute. What a finish. I mean, it was kind of everything expected. That is what you want Gyökeres to do. Timber puts a great ball in. Eza kind of is on the ball, but tries to run off to create space, but falls on his face.
Yeah.
Gyökeres drops his shoulder, looks like he's going to go wide, but then just whips it in. Bada, or I guess in the opposite corner, it was a 0.13 xg, 0.13 x Scott.
I love the body shape on that goal because he looks like he's about to essentially try and go down the outside, but he adjusts his body shape and just rifles it into that basically on the opposite side.
Yeah.
He's always been a really good ball striker. You've seen it when he scored goals this season.
Yep.
But again, if you put the ball into space for him, he does his best work. And for a lot of the game, I think this is his best game for Arsenal.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least for me.
Yeah.
That is why that happens. You guys consistently put the ball in space. Ultimately, that comes down to Spurs giving you space, but that takes nothing away from the finish for me. I think the finish is sensational.
Yeah, I think he's just he makes that goal his own. He was able to play it really well, and I think from there, like Arsenal kind of have everything to play for. It's their chance to really hold on to it. I think they do kind of a job of making it look clean. I think like right after, once again, Spurs come in trying to get another quick goal back, and they do okay at it. And and there's a pass into Kolo Muani. Gabriel honestly flops.
Yeah.
Is what he does. I did not think this was a foul. I was surprised this foul was given and the goal was taken away.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's an issue in the Premier League that if there's any hands anywhere on someone's back, that it's looked at is scrupulous, like a bad foul.
Yeah.
Nah, not for me. I don't think that was a pen. I think Gabriel goes down way too easy.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of something. It's I'd say it at this point. It's a trademark. Like this is what happened a couple of years ago when Joe Linton had that goal.
Yeah.
Like Gabriel went down easily. Happened again against Newcastle earlier this season against Voltemade. He gave Voltemade a free header and he went down. And like when he did it again this time, I was like how is this? Like this has to stand. This is a goal. I was surprised that this was given as a foul. It just shows like the relativity of the referees and even VAR and how they're going to give goals or not.
Trying to be like impartial for a second, I think Spurs fans could feel pretty hard done by that.
Yeah,
because they're at home, they get that 2-2.
Yeah,
they probably don't deserve it.
Well, it changes the entire match at that point.
Yeah, it changes the momentum.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
and I think when that goal gets disallowed, I feel like the energy gets sucked out of them a little bit, and then Arsenal run riot.
Yeah, absolutely. After that point, Timber comes off, Mosquera comes in that right back position, really playing more of like a 3 center back role overall. That allows Rice to step up a little bit, Zumendi step up a little bit because he's not going to be as aggressive as Timber is on that right side. Yeah, and then soon after that, we have another Eze goal.
Yeah.
The run up to that goal was wonderful. He had the ball. He lays it off to Saka. Saka shoots it. Decent save by Ortega, but like this is what happens when you have that 10 in position to clean up, when you have a forward in position to clean up the ball.
It's pretty unlucky from Palhinha
Yeah.
Because it kind of hits him on the hill. If it
Yeah.
hit him anyway, it probably doesn't go back to Eze.
Yeah.
But Eze is there to clean it up once it does happen, and good finish overall. And ultimately, I think it's a deserved goal in that period of the game.
It reminds me of the goal yesterday that Welbeck had.
I didn't see it.
There was a clearance. I forget who it was, but they're trying to clear it off with their heel, and then Wells was right there, and he like it was almost the exact same goal. I feel like that's the same goal. If I'm not, man, I watched so much football this.
Me too.
I don't know if it was that game or if it was the City game. I don't know. I have to review that. But yeah, it was the goal scorer being in the right position at the right time.
Yeah,
which helps us get over to 3-1. And at that point, it's kind of just play the game. Arsenal does start sitting back a little bit more, and this is the point when I get nervous. Where I'm like, all right, like you have to kill this off.
For me, like Spurs have nothing though, mate. And
yeah,
that I know, like I'm not sitting here with a bunch of emotion watching the game. Like I completely understand, but like from the outside looking in, I just don't think Spurs completely ran out of ideas. I don't want to use that term disparagingly because I think they have a bunch of injuries ultimately that really massively contributes to that. But they really struggle with creativity. Simmons has some like good carries in the game, but he just has no one to play with. It's basically him and a bunch of bozos. And I'm sorry to say that, but it's just so disjointed from Tottenham.
I mean, you pull off Gallagher, you put in Richarlison, you pull off Colomani. Who comes in for him? Is it
Solanke?
The Solanke coming for him? Yeah, so you have more strike power there, but as I think about it, like this Tottenham side looked like a UCL side that doesn't know how to play against Arsenal that you see often. Like a side that is very strong but just doesn't know how to play that kind of game.
Yeah, you don't see people go man to man against Arsenal that diligently, that regularly.
Yeah.
Mainly because again, that's what your squad is set up to deal with.
Yeah.
It's set up to deal with duels.
Yeah.
Win your duels and you win the game.
Exactly. Like Arsenal become a bit more precise in passing. There are fewer long balls. They're really giving up possession. Arsenal does have less possession in the second half than the first. They only had 48% possession that second half, largely because they don't have to worry about kind of taking the game to Spurs. Spurs bring the game. They'll just convert it. Eventually, we get further into the half. Trossard and Eze come off, and then it's Martinelli and Odegaard. I think that's at the point when they really shift the game from the right side of the pitch to the left side of the pitch. They want to use Nelly's pace in behind, but I really feel like Martinelli wasn't there in the game.
No.
He kind of disappeared overall.
You know what I always say about Martinelli? Like, if he could look up, he would be great.
Yeah.
I think he has this propensity to run with his head down and don't look to pick passes.
Yeah.
He had a decent situation at the end of the game, if I remember. But after he did come on, he really didn't impact the game all that much.
Yeah. And then, I mean, before we get to the end of the game, there was another moment when there's a corner. Richarlison has a little back heel flick.
Yeah.
It megs Raya.
Yeah.
But then it takes some pace off, and Raya actually has a save.
Really good goal line save.
Really good goal line save. If that had gone in, like once again, that would have been another nervy point. It would have been 3-2, and Arsenal would have been holding back. There were a couple of moments once again when players went down, and I was thinking like, don't do this again. Like, don't have another game this. And I think Arsenal learned their lesson from the Wolves game, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna keep going all the way to the end.
Yeah.
We get to we get to the end of the game, and Odegaard gives the ball off to Gyökeres, and like the slow motion, like I don't know if it's intentional, and I have to assume it's intentional because this man makes more in 1 week than I do in a year. And like he puts this like backspin on the ball to slow it down for him and set him up. It's a little bounce, and he just hits the ball perfectly.
Great finish.
Like just another great finish for him for that last goal. And I think like that kind of, I mean, if it wasn't sealed already, that seals it for Arsenal. And it's just a great way for them to finish, like a brace by Eze, a brace for Gyökeres, our two attacking signings for the season, getting in here to make it 8-2 against Spurs for the season.
It's crazy.
In which
I'll also say this too: 2 signings that have recently come under some fire.
Yeah.
That needed big performances in some of these games, and they delivered ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Arsenal like overperformed the XG again this game, 1.93 XG.
Wow.
With 4 goals.
That's mainly Gyökeres, mate.
Mainly Gyökeres.
Yeah.
Like Open play XG 1.46. Like
Okay.
set to play XG, we didn't have set to play XG was a 0.47, but still.
I think they dealt with set pieces quite well. Actually, Saliba has that one chance in the first half that he should do better with.
Oh
Really
yeah, that
early
header.
on.
Yeah. He does have that header. It should have gone like at least on target.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have gone in because there was a defender on that far post, but at least need to get it on target.
Agree.
But yeah, overall, it was a really good overall result. Who was your man of the match for this game?
So mine was Gyökeres. I think it was we've spoken about both of these guys pretty extensively at this point. And the other one it could be is Eze, I think. But I think this type of game state sets up both of those types of players really well. Like I said, Spurs give them space. When you give players that are good in space, they do good. This is exactly how I look at it. I'm not taking anything away from those finishes, though. Those finishes are proper striker finishes.
Yeah,
he's a really good ball striker, Gyökeres.
Yeah,
and
Gyökeres,
we saw that. We saw that with Sporting. Like
Yeah.
the amount of times that he would run from left to right, essentially in channels, end up essentially beating his man or beating like, a guy in the physical duel, and then slotting it home. And he did that twice in this game. And he, like I said, he's had some criticism, but a performance like this will shut those people up.
Yeah, I think Gyökeres had a fantastic game in a derby. I think he showed it up. We played the kind of game he had, the kind of space that he could have. For me, my man of the match is Eberechi. Scoring on Tottenham is is my man of the match. Like all of his Premier League goals this season have been against Tottenham.
It's crazy,
which is kind of crazy, which is also like fantastic. I think like Spurs played the kind of match that was perfect for him as well as perfect for Eze. For Gyökeres, giving him lots of space to run in, lots of time to make that like kind of like the right kind of game for him overall.
I agree.
Any thoughts on Eze's performance overall?
Yeah, I think, like I said, he was occupying spaces that I think Arsenal need more of sometimes. Mm-hmm. I think in build-up, Odegaard has, again, the natural instinct to want to meet the ball carrier, the ball player. Yeah. And sometimes you just need to be there in between the lines to receive the ball. And that is Eze's game, man. Like picking up the ball in between the lines and making decisive decisions. And that's what he does multiple times in this game. It's funny because when he scores the second, our buddy Tyler messages me and says, Dr. Tottenham. So you could see how he felt about that. But really good performance from Eze. I think Arsenal fans would want more of the same.
Yeah, I hope we get more of the same. 11 matches left for us. So
has a part to play.
Actually, 10 matches because we have a game in hand.
True.
So matches left. I think this is the kind of win Arsenal needed to say, like, we're still in this race.
Yeah.
We're going to go to our rivals and show them what we are made of and show the league what we're made of. So still 5 points ahead. In my mind, I only think about it as 2 points ahead because, we have a game in hand. And it's better to think about it that way. But I think overall, like, this is the kind of match that you needed after the kinds of weeks that we've had after City show what they have against Newcastle at home. Us going away and having a result like this is really, really important.
Yeah, I agree. I think you needed to show the rest of the league, not even the rest of the league, but also within your own fan base. Like, guys, we've got this. Like, we need an element of calm here, and a result like this definitely helps. I think anytime you win so lopsidedly at your rivals, there's a reason to be happy, but after the result at Wolves, I think this is more of a reason to be happy.
Absolutely, yeah. Before we finish this out, there were we have asked a couple of our friends to give some thoughts. I know in the preview we asked some Spurs supporters what they thought about the game, and we anticipated that Arsenal will win this game. We've asked a couple of Arsenal supporters and listeners and friends about their thoughts at the end of this game, so you'll be hearing those out coming up. I know that we'll have a clip from Danny and then also one from Jer and maybe anyone else who wants to put a clip in here.
Cool. So you go ahead and listen to those guys. Let us know what you think.
Jack, this was a great time. Not necessarily a pub diary, but let's call it a cabin diary. Maybe we'll have more of these in the future, but this was a really fun weekend for us to watch football, talk about football. I'm glad we were able to talk about SDFC as well. Yeah. Another club we both support. So
that's true.
That's a good time.
Something normal for sure. Yeah. Something we could both agree on sometimes, right?
I think we can agree on football being good football most of the time.
I agree.
It's nice to support the same team.
It is. But ultimately, like, supporting different teams also adds different perspectives. And that's really what we're trying to achieve with this. Yeah. No like shallow bullshit banter. Just not takes, but interpretations on how we think about football. And I hope that comes across to the listeners.
Me too. I hope they do. But this was a really fun one. I'm glad we were able to watch this football and talk about it together.
Absolutely. Enjoy our friends, guys. Apart from us, that's pretty much it from us. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
All right. I am here with Jeremiah, my best friend in San Diego. Jeremiah, what did you think of the North London derby, Tottenham, Arsenal at Tottenham?
Yeah, I mean, very, very happy with it. I would have liked to keep the clean sheet and not give up the crappy goal right after the first, but it was good to see them keep energy for the whole game. And obviously Tottenham's near the bottom of the table, but a rivalry game's a rivalry game. So to put your foot on their neck and create some space from City and take a big win was, I think, pretty huge for us.
Yeah, it was really good. I think a lot of what we expected to happen for Arsenal in this kind of match happened. Who was your man of the match?
I mean, obviously it's a two-person race between Eze and Gyökeres, but I think for me, just a little bit, I'd probably go Gyökeres I remember after Tottenham scored thinking like, man, we really need to get another goal in the first half, and they didn't. But when Gyökeres came out early in the second half and got that goal, it really kind of accomplished the same thing, and I think it set us up to play more open in the second half with Tottenham being down a goal and having to kind of chase us a little bit. So I think that goal was the biggest moment of the match for us. With both of them having 2 goals, I think I give a slight advantage to Victor for man of the match.
Yeah, Victor, I think, is the popular favorite. He had a fantastic game, had a brace. Definitely deserves man of the match. Why did Arsenal win this one?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this earlier, but I think playing football for 90 minutes, they went up 2-0 against Wolves midweek and basically played like we're in first place, they're in last place, and that came back and bit us in the butt. And I don't think at any point today did we let up and play like we were playing against a lower table team. I think they kept energy for 90 minutes and fought hard from the beginning to the end. And like we were watching the game together against Wolves, and I remember saying they didn't play like champions, and I think today they did.
Yeah, I remember that, watching that match together. I remember us being very comfortable together, and it just didn't work out for us.
Not at all.
Any other thoughts you have for this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was our best game in a while as far as both energy levels and just, I think, active offensive play. Like, I think we've controlled a lot of the ball recently, but I think today we looked like a dangerous offensive team, and it helps when your striker and your 10 have 2 goals each, but I think that it was the most dangerous we've looked in quite a long time.
I agree. Playing aside, a relegation side, and putting our foots on the throat is great. And also playing Tottenham. Oh, wait, they are a relegation side. So last question, what do we think of Tottenham?
They're poopy.
All right, you heard it from Jer. They are poopy. Thank you, Jer.
Yeah, of course.
I am here with Danny Clem, one of our avid listeners, as well as my best friend. Danny, we had North London derby. What was your take on the game?
Obviously, very happy with the result. I think even one of the big highlights for me was how quickly we came out right off from the start. It's so hard to draw against a team like the Wolves, and that can really affect the mentality. So to see us coming out of the gates and really building momentum was huge.
Yeah, it was really nice to watch Arsenal make a reaction after that. Who was your man of the match?
I think it was the man up front, number 14. Goal to get us to break the draw. And the second was obviously amazing, but that first goal was just a stunner. And he did put in so much work during the match.
Yeah, Gyökeres really showed up. A brace in this game was wonderful. I'm happy to see that. Why did Arsenal win?
We were playing Tottenham. It was pretty easy. I mean, I think that's... Now, look, we recovered well. We had the mindset. We have the team. These are the games we should automatically be winning. Sometimes it hasn't happened. We're working on our mindset this year and forging the mindset of champions. But as long as we have that, we have all the right tools to win games like this easily.
Yeah, I think that was a game that was something that Arsenal should have won. They did win it. Any other thoughts that you had with the game overall?
It was fun to watch the first maybe 2/3 when we kind of fell apart middle of the second half. Not quite falling apart, but just started looking a little scattered. And I noticed that with the Wolves too. They shifted tactics. That threw us off about 10 minutes into the second half. And we just need to be better about adjusting and not being so reactive there. We need to have a plan for when things adjust and be more proactive with that ahead of time.
I'm really glad we were able to do that. And I have one final question. Danny, what do we think of Tottenham?
Shit, mate.
Thank you, Danny. Appreciate you.